My name is Nici Macdonald, and I am the head of certification and standards at the FPI. Everybody we've got online this afternoon are mostly current students at our universities. If you have finished your diploma, your postgraduate diploma, or your BCom honors in financial planning, do not fret. If you have finished it already, or whether you are still studying, we have got all the information that you will need to know on how the assessment process at FPI will be changing in the next 2 years. Hot off the press. Now, if I say hot off the press, I really literally mean it. In fact, we're not even on the press yet. This news is very, very new to everybody. I will explain exactly where the changes came from, why it is necessary, and how it will influence all students and candidates coming through our processes in the next 2 years in a minute. But I really want to say thank you for spending the time with us this afternoon. We hope we can give you some insight into how the certification process works and what the changes will be, and to really inspire you all to continue on your journey to becoming a certified financial planner professional. I think for everybody here, that is the culmination, including myself, who I became a CFP many, many years ago. That is really the culmination of all the hard work, the experience, and all this blood, sweat, and tears that you put into these qualifications and your job that you do every day. So I am going to share my screen so we can get the show on the road. I am going to ask you to, if there's any questions, please type it in the chat box. I am going to try and answer questions throughout the process. And then if we've got time at the end, I will also deal with additional questions then. So please type in the chat box and let me see if I can incorporate those answers throughout my presentation. So let me share my screen with you to start with. I just want to get myself organized here. And there we go. I can see the chat, so you are very welcome to ask me a question at any time. So I want to start this journey with you to explain where we get our standards and our certification requirements from. So, and then we will start with the background. We will then explain to you what the current process is. We will explain to you how the process is going to change from the 1st of January 2025, which is our D date. And we will then explain to you how it is going to affect you as a student or a candidate of FPI. And then also what we would like you to consider in making a decision on how you're going to continue on your journey. So let's start at the very beginning, and we go way back. About 40 years ago, maybe more, the Financial Planning Standards Board in the US was started. That was the first international body that had the CFP mark, or that owns the CFP mark. They are in the United States of America. And they own the trademark for all territories outside the United States of America. So in the US, you have the CFP board who certifies all the certified financial planners in the US, but outside of the US, the Financial Planning Standards Board is the holder of the International Certified Financial Planner mark. They set the global standards for financial planners. And if you follow them, you would have seen that they are doing extremely good work in research in this area. We were issued, or they issued, new standards in April that is actually going to change the curriculums across the entire world in the next 2 years as well. So except for our certification requirements changing, our standards are also changing, and to include very exciting modules, things like more technology, more skills. And then the big one is the psychology of financial planning that will actually be taught at university level going forward from about 2025 onwards. So they set a lot of standards, they do a lot of research, they ensure that CFPs across the world are held at a certain level and that the mark is held at a certain level of esteem. They also set the global certification requirements for CFP professionals. So they will tell you that in order for someone to be able to carry the CFP designation and write it behind their name, there has to be certain elements in place that has to be tested at certain levels to ensure that they meet these international standards. Now, the FPI is the South African affiliate of the Financial Planning Standards Board. What does that mean? That means that the FPI is licensed by the Financial Planning Standards Board to certify everyone who wants to become a certified financial planner in South Africa. So we hold the license for the CFP mark in South Africa. Now, if I can position it like this, it is the same with any other licensing body where we have to adhere to the standards they prescribe in order to keep this licensing. So, and I will explain it to you in a minute. That is one of the reasons why we have to embark on this change process, because of changes in the certification requirements at the Financial Planning Standards Board, so that we can still be in line with what is globally expected of us. So that is the Financial Planning Standards Board. So let's come back to South Africa, where you are dealing with the Financial Planning Institute. What is the Financial Planning Institute? We're a not-for-profit company who is also a SAQA, and SAQA is the South African Qualifications Authority. Any qualification in South Africa that is registered have to be registered with them, but they are also the body where professional bodies are registered, specifically voluntary professional bodies like the Financial Planning Institute. We are not a regulatory body. You do not have to be a certified financial planner in order to practice in South Africa. You have to be registered with the FSCA, and you all know those rules. The CFP is just the pinnacle of what you can achieve. So we are a SAQA recognized professional body. That means that we also have to make sure that we comply with SAQA's rules. We are, as I said, an affiliate of the Financial Planning Standards Board for the CFP mark in South Africa. And what does that mean? That means that in line with what the FPSB does on a global level, we set the local standards for financial planners in South Africa. We also set the local certification requirements for CFP professionals in South Africa. In other words, we set the requirements for how you will go through this journey and how we will assess whether you meet the requirements that is set for, or the standards that is set for a CFP professional in South Africa. Now, obviously, all of our standards and certification requirements have to align what is happening globally, but because they also understand that no two territories are the same. I mean, we're working with different economics, environments, with working in different legislative environments. You can't even compare some of the, if you look at something like succession laws in the different territories, nor the way financial planning is done, or the way people get certified, and linked to that the regulatory requirements for financial planners and advisors. So your requirements will differ from territory to territory. However, at a certain level, they will all be the same. So your education will be at a certain level. Your examinations will be at a certain level. And everything else, your experience requirements will have to be met at a certain level. So there are nuances in there where we've got a little bit of leeway to make sure that we meet it in the way that is practical for South Africa. Same with this local, with the global standards and the practice standards. We will adopt it to make sure that it doesn't reflect a US outlook, but it looks like South Africa, but it will be based on what is prescribed internationally. So we have to adhere to the international standards. Now, why am I telling you this? Why is this so important? So in the last few years, as you know, there has been lots of changes in the financial planning space. I have already mentioned the fact that technology is becoming a very, very big part of our jobs, which in all honesty, I can tell you was not the case when I started out working in the first brokerage that I started in those days, sending faxes to get policy information back from clients. We didn't even have something like Astute at that point in time. Included in that is the movement to all things human. So the technical stuff is still important, but it's also very important that you understand your client and that you are able to take your client on this journey with you. Henceforth, the changes to the curriculum that is going to come through in the next little while. However, another area that have changed quite dramatically over the last few years is the way that candidates in these processes are assessed. And I don't think that is something that is unique to FPI. It is not unique to testing financial planners. I think the entire education system is changing to make sure that we don't just test and assess in one manner, but take a variety of assessment tools into consideration to make sure that you test across all levels, across everything that a candidate needs to achieve, and to get a well-rounded assessment process at the end. And this is what we try to do when the Financial Planning Standards Board told us at the end of last year that we have until the end of 2024 to ensure that we get a financial plan component built into our assessment process. Now, I can tell you that that was not news for us. We knew that it needed to be done. We were in the process of planning this, and all the FPSB did last year is they put a stake in the ground and said, we need you to finalize this by the end of next year, which was where we were going. But now this is where we are at this point in time. So what are we testing when we're looking at certified financial planners? What are we looking at? What do we want you to be able to prove to us? Now, when you look at the standards, when you look at our competency profiles, there are three distinct areas that we are looking at where you have to prove your competency to us. The first one is knowledge. That is the things you learn at university, how to do an estate duty calculation, how to do tax, how to do a budget. All of those things, how investments work, what the different asset classes means, all those type of things. Your technical knowledge is still extremely important because, as you know, as a financial planner, you have to make sure that you give your clients the best advice. And if you're technically not correct, that can have an enormous impact on a client's plan in the future. The second thing that we look at is the skills that a financial planner needs. Now, that's something that can't really be taught at university level. It can't be taught at academic level. That is something you can either go to courses for, self-study, or actually gain through experience. I'm talking here about things like presenting to a client, having the confidence to walk into that meeting and build rapport with the client. Also, things like technology. Technology, you don't necessarily get taught at university level. You have to learn that when you walk into a workplace, how to use Xplan, how to use any of the other software tools, how to use your CRM system, or whatever the practice you are working at is using. That is the skills component. And then the abilities. And if you look at abilities, it is basically to and apply that to the 6-step financial planning process. Now, if you break that down, you will get to 20 steps. So it's everything from starting to have the conversation with your client, gathering the information, straight through to the recommendations, the plan, the review, the implementation, everything. So those are the things that hasn't really been tested in the past on a practical level that we think in the new process, we're going to make a little bit of it's going to be a fairer assessment process in that everything, every step, every level will get tested. We also are of the opinion that the changes to the process will be beneficial to employers, because by the time you've gone through the process, you will have a certified financial planner who will have proven to us that they can do a financial plan, which is basically what you will be doing every day in your job. So let's jump to the next slide. So how does it work currently? I think most of you know this, but I am going to repeat it just to give you a before and after type of scenario. So we look at, and we call it the 4 E's. It's actually easy to remember. And I work well with acronyms. So it's very nice if you can remember all 4 E's. The first one is education. This is what you're currently busy with. This is any of the underlying qualifications from any of our universities that we have recognized at the FPI. I think there's 7 at this point in time. They are all either postgraduate diplomas in financial planning or the BCom honors in financial planning from the University of Johannesburg. Those are our recognized qualifications. What does that mean? It means that we have looked at the process, we've looked at the curriculum, we are happy that that qualification meets the requirements of FPI at this time. And we are happy that you're going to get the knowledge component there, but we do not at this point in time test it there. That is what's going to change. So that is your first E, that's education. There is another pathway, but given that everybody on this call has got the correct qualification or is busy studying towards it, I am not going to discuss the RPL pathway on this call. If you have any questions about it, there is quite a comprehensive information on our website under education regarding this. So you are welcome to go have a look there or phone us at the FPI to find out more. So there is an alternative pathway for people who has got qualifications at NQF level 8 and quite a bit of financial planning experience, but that is not to discuss in this webinar. So education, you've got already. That is your qualification. Your second E is examination. Now, in the current format, once you've obtained your qualification, you come to FPI and you sit for what we call the Professional Competency Examination, or the PCE. Some people call it the board exam. I know that was from way back, but that is basically what it boils down to. It is a 100-mark case study that is split into 2 papers that you write these days online over 2 days. If you pass the case study at 60%, you get a tick behind your name to say that you've passed this examination. Now, the examination is a little bit different to what you see at university. Our pass rate at this point in time is about 48%. For the last about 3 years, we've stabilized it there. So, which is actually in line with what we expect from board examinations at this level. If you look at other professional bodies, but also if you look at what is happening in other third world countries with the same type of examination. So the 50%, 48 to 50% is about right. It's about what we're going to get. Because our pass rate is set at a 60%, you have to get 60% for your examination in order to be able to pass. So that is the PCE. Once you've passed that, we go on to the next E, or while you're passing that, it doesn't matter when you get the experience, just have to be in the last 5 years. So your work experience has to be relevant to financial planning. You can't be a cook somewhere and then come and say to us, you've got experience. No, you need to have worked in the financial planning industry and somewhere where we can actually link your experience with the competency profile that we've got in place to say that, yeah, but okay, you did learn these skills and these abilities and you did apply this knowledge and so on. So your work experience is either 3 years unsupervised, or you can go through what we call our mentorship program, which is a more structured, supervised program where you will actually meet the outcomes of what we prescribe to you by way of a portfolio of evidence that you compile. All of the information, once again, is available on the website under the Experience tab. Go have a look there if you need more information. And then the fourth E is the most important one, and it's the one most people forget about, is the ethics part. As a professional member of FPI, you voluntarily hold yourself to a very, very high standard of ethics. And at FPI, we test that in a few manners. The first one is that we are going to ask you whether you've had any judgments against you, whether there's been any adverse findings by SARS, whether there has been any instances of fraud, whether you have ever been kicked off as a director or banned as a trustee or whatever the nice, and it's not the right words, I know that, but there's that, and then there's also your conduct. When you are a member of FPI, we expect you to behave a certain way, and if we get complaints from your clients or fellow members or anyone of the public, we can actually, through our disciplinary process and our disciplinary committee, hold you accountable for your conduct. So that is the ethics part. So the current 4 E's is education, which you tick via your qualification. You have got your examination, which is the PCE, 2 hours or 2 papers, 100 marks case study. You've got your experience requirement, and then you've got your ethics requirement. How is this going to change? So from the 1st of January, I almost said February, but it will be the 1st of January 2025. The certification standards for people coming through the process after that will be as follows. Your education component will replace the professional competency examination in its current format. So what's going to happen? How are we going to deal with it practically? We are going to ensure that your standard setting examination, so that is the one that we're currently conducting at FPI with a little bit of a twist, is going to be tested at university level as part of your integrated case study module. What does that practically mean? Instead of FPI setting an exam in a case study format, which has actually already been tested at university level, we will go into the universities and act as an external moderator for the university on those papers, which means that we will ensure, and I will discuss this in a second when we get to the different components, that we will ensure that 3 things happen. That all the papers written across the universities for integrated case studies is at the same level. It meets the minimum standard. That is what a standard setting examination means. It meets the minimum standard. So we will ensure that it meets the standard. We will ensure that the content aligns with the curriculum that is prescribed internationally and locally adapted into the financial planner curriculum as set by FPI. And I can tell you that all our universities' content at this moment in time aligns with our current curriculum. Obviously, there's going to be changes and there's going to be some time it will take to get there, but our universities really do follow the curriculum. So there would not be a problem there. And then the third thing we're going to test is what we call the formula in terms of the job analysis survey. What is a job analysis survey? That is a survey that is run every 5 years or so with certified financial planners globally to say, your financial planner, how do you actually spend your time? How much time do you spend on estate planning? How much time do you spend on investment planning and asset management? How much time do you spend on tax or financial management for that matter? And according to those, and that information that we received, and our last job analysis survey was done in 2021. So it is really it is current information. We set a formula to what needs to be tested in those case studies. So we will tell you that if a financial planner only spends 12% of their time on financial management, 12% of the examination should contain financial management type questions. Now, that's things like time value of money, budgeting, those type of things, ratios, and so on and so forth. Investment management across the globe actually weighs a little bit more because we find that our financial planners and advisors spend a lot of time there. And so we build the formula to make sure that every single paper includes everything that we ask them to and everything that a financial planner will actually spend their time on once they get out into the big wide world and give financial advice. So your standard setting exam, your knowledge component test from 2024 onwards, because we're already starting this process with the universities from next year, will be done at university level, which means you will tick that box of education when you come through to say that I have completed in 2024. That is for people coming through in 2024, by the way. I have completed my standard setting exam with the university. Therefore, I come through to FPI. Now, what's my next steps? Because my knowledge component has been tested already. We then go on to the examination leg, which is changing a bit because the PCE in its current format is getting scrapped from 2025 at FPI. We will not be running with the PCE as it is anymore. What will happen is once you've passed through that process at the university, you will come to FPI and we will give you access to the Capstone course. Now, what is the Capstone course, you ask? The Capstone course is a practical course. Capstone means to give an outcome, a holistic outcome in a practical manner. So it will be a practical course currently in development of about 8 to 10 weeks where practicing financial planners and advisors and academics and everybody involved in this process will teach you and will assist you in understanding how to take the knowledge that you've gained and apply it practically to everything you do on a daily basis. So they will teach you. You have how to put the plan together. They will teach you what is needed in the plan and what is required. Some of the things we will also be testing is the psychology of your client and how do you actually work with this client? Because we all know that clients they've got beliefs and they've got belief systems that come from when they were 2 and 3 about money, and you need to convince these clients that they have to think about money in a different way. And how do you do that? Those are difficult conversations to have. When it comes to estate planning, you need to convince this client that what he wants to happen might not be enforceable. It might not be possible, so he has to change his mind. So how do you approach this conversation with the client? How do you put it into your plan? Because you must also remember that we're looking at making sure that you communicate to the client in a manner that he or she understands, but also that if there's ever a question about compliance, you can go back to the plan and say, but this is what we discussed. And it also makes it easier for you to take your client on that journey. So that will be your Capstone course. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a second on how we foresee this working. After you've done the Capstone course, what will then happen is that FPI will give you a case study. We will say to you the same that will happen in an exam, except that it won't be in the same setting. We will give you a case study and say, okay, here are your clients. This is their profile. This is how they're married or they're not married. This is their children. This is their beliefs, assets, liabilities, wants, needs, objectives. And you will have to put a financial plan together for us. The financial plan component has already been implemented very successfully in some of the other territories that we're dealing with. And at this moment in time, we are actually busy with process where we are looking at their processes, at their plans, at the way they assess it, how long they give their candidates to complete the plan, how they practically deal with it, and so on. So in the next 12 months, you will get a lot more information about how the component will work. However, at this point in time, we can tell you that we are learning from the international territories, and we are putting a plan together on how South Africa is going to approach the submitting of a financial plan, what the requirements will be, what we will allow, what we won't allow, and those type of things. So that is basically your education and your examination. So you'll do your standard setting exam at your university, obtain your qualification. Come through to FPI, gain access to the Capstone course, and from the Capstone course, you will go on to the financial plan submission. Experience requirement, we are not changing at this moment in time. It will still be 3 years or the mentorship program. Now, there will be certain benefits to candidates who go through the mentorship program where we might waive the requirements for the Capstone course. We are still busy finalizing that, but rest assured that we will make sure that we don't duplicate assessment on any of these areas. And the fourth one is then ethics, and ethics stays exactly the same as it was. So what's basically going to change, and this is what this slide shows, is your standard setting exam will happen at the university level, which replaces the PCE in its current format, come through to FPI, Capstone course, through to financial plan assessment. The Capstone course I've spoken about, it is envisaged to be an 8 to 10 week program. It will be also through the course, it will be assessed in a certain manner. It will be a bit of a hybrid option. There will be live sessions where you can ask questions. There will be recorded sessions. There will be self-study, reading, so we'll really try to make it a holistic learning experience and something that someone can complete partly in their own time, but also with real live sessions and help, because I think that is where the most learning is going to take place, is when you actually start chatting to your practicing financial planners that has got a wealth of information that they can share with people coming through the program. Then one last comment I want to make about this Capstone course. This is not just going to be for people who are coming through the certification process for the first time. We are also going to use this as a CPD event. Obviously, if you sit for this and you're registered at the FSCA, you will also get CPD for the time you spend here. But we want to make it available to our current members as a refresher, because what we do find is someone who, for example, does a lot of investment work might need a refresher on the estate planning side. So they will be able to come through and register only for that module, or for the psychology of financial planning side, or whatever the situation is going to be. As I said, the program is currently in development. If anybody knows Wessel Oosthuizen, we are very excited that he is helping to develop this program, and we can't wait to see how it's going to look. So very, very excited about this. As I said, the financial plan component is still a work in progress. We're still thinking about how we're going to assess it. We're currently busy speaking to the territories internationally who have implemented this successfully to learn from them. But the idea would be that you will get the case study. You will have X amount of time to finalize the plan and submit it. Obviously, FPI will give you thorough requirements on what a financial plan should look like, what we expect, those type of things. We also foresee that financial technology will have to be used, or will be able to be used, because technology is available to you. So let's embrace it. And what we will also try and do from FPI side is to maybe make some financial technology available for those people who are not currently maybe working somewhere where they've got access to it. So all of those things are being taken into account, and we will obviously communicate that as we start putting the frameworks for these things together. We will then get the plan back and assess it in terms of the requirements. Obviously, technical correctness, because if you do that estate duty calculation wrong, you're still not going to get any marks for it. Just because the system uses it, it's still garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know what to use, and if you don't do it correctly, you're still going to get to the wrong answer. Now, I can tell you that we've had the question when we've explained this process to people, oh, but you're making it easier, because the financial plan component people think is going to be easier than the PCE at this point in time. However, I can tell you unequivocally that I have seen what the rubrics look like, which is the marking assessment, the way we would mark the financial plan, looks like in other territories. This is not going to be easier. I can promise you this. We are going to still require a certain standard of financial plan that is put out there. There is a lot of financial plan software out there that ticks the compliance boxes, but that is not what we're looking for. We're looking to make sure that you meet the standards of a certified financial planner as it is prescribed internationally. That is not compliance. It is way much more than that. So very interesting. We will definitely communicate further on this. And only if that standard is then met, the candidate will be found competent. So now we're getting to the meaty part, and the part why you're here. What happens to people who have obtained their qualifications up to the end of 2023? So I am going to show you the bottom part here first. If you look at the bottom, you will see how it will change from 2024 onwards. So everybody who comes through a qualification at a university where we have standards set the integrated case study. So that will happen from 2024 onwards, where FPI was involved at the university with moderating that integrated case study plan, will have a tick next to their name for the standard setting examination. They will gain access at FPI, once they've obtained the qualification, to the Capstone Course, as well as to the financial plan then in that process. They will come through that. We will look at the experience requirement. Once that is passed, experience requirement, ethics requirement, and that will complete your certification journey. However, we need to make sure that people who have already obtained the qualification before this process kicks in, as well as people who are going to obtain the qualification this year, has some kind of way to choose whether they want to come through the new process or whether they want to finish and write the PCE in its current format as it currently is. Now, everything that we do at FPI is based on fairness to candidates and to students. I think in our exams as well, that is what we really try and do. So what we have decided to do is to give everybody that came through the process earlier, so if I obtained my qualification in 2015, for example, but I never came to sit for the competency examination in its current format, or I sat for the examination and I didn't pass it, or I am a student who is going to obtain my degree this year. I'm writing my case study at the end of the year. I'm going to obtain my qualification. We are going to ask you to consider sitting for the professional competency examination before the end of 2024. Now, I know we normally, in the past, we only had 2 sittings a year. In the last 3 years, we've increased it to 3. But in order to make sure that there's enough time for you to sit for this examination and to pass it in 2024, we will have 4 examination sittings next year. The first one will, and I'll show you the dates now. First one is in Feb. The second one will be in April. And then I think the other 2 dates are July and September or November, but I'll show you the dates in a second. So we will have 4 sittings. And there's another sitting this year in September, which is 9 weeks away, which is enough time if you put your mind to it to actually pass the exam if you want to attempt it this year still. So there's 5 sittings, 4 for next year, where you can try register for the PCE in its current format, 100-mark case study written over 2 days as 2 different papers, and try and or pass there. Now, no one's going to try and pass the exam. If you put your mind to it, if you do the work, if you go through the webinars and the support we've got available for you, you will pass this exam in 2024. Once you've passed your exam, it is valid for 5 years. What does that mean? That means that you will have to take up membership with FPI as a certified financial planner within a 5-year period, so that you can become a FPI member. If not, if you do not take up membership, we will go back to step 1. You will already have your qualification, but you will then have to follow the rest of the process in order and pass the exam as it is in its format at that time. Okay, so you, however, still have a choice. You could choose to do the PCE in its current format next year, pass the examination. Even if you haven't met the experience requirements first, you can then gain that and then apply for membership. However, if you decide to wait, or if you don't pass the examination next year, or if you wait, and I can tell you, do not wait to the last one. As I said, our pass rate is about 48%. So chances are that you might not. So if you don't pass, what will happen? And you only come back in 2025 and say, okay, I now want to become a certified financial planner professional. Remember that we did not standard set your examination at university level. So we were not involved in the moderation of the examinations at university level before 2024. You will have to show us that your knowledge is up to date, your knowledge component. Remember, I said knowledge, skills, and abilities in the very beginning. You will have to prove your knowledge component at that time. What will that mean? It means that you will sit for a 50-mark multiple choice test at FPI that we will run in order to gain access to the Capstone course. So you will pass your multiple choice exam. You will then go through to Capstone and complete the financial plan. So this is what we are showing in this top areas on the slides. If you are a pre-2022, 2022, and a 2023 student, and you successfully complete the PCE by the end of next year, you will not be required to sit for the multiple choice. You will not be required to sit for the capstone nor the financial plan. You will still go through the process in the certification standards way that we've got at this moment in time via the PCE. However, if you do not pass or you decide to wait until 2025, you will have to first complete a multiple choice exam to tick your knowledge component, after which you will have to complete the capstone course, after which you will have to complete the financial plan component. In both those cases, no matter which way you come through, experience and ethics requirements will still be required of you. So that's not falling away. It's only the examination that is changing. Now let's talk about the examinations quickly. It is written completely online. So you sit in the comfort of your own home and write these exams. What we have done with load shedding is that if you have got problems and there's load shedding during the course of the day, we have got certain venues where you can bring your computer, like the FPI offices. You can bring your computer and you can actually come and sit in our offices to gain access to our Wi-Fi and to make sure that you can, and electricity to make sure that you can actually complete the process. You need 60% to pass. And as I said, the pass rate for the last 3 years has been in the region of about 48%. Now, in order to register for the PCE, you're going to need proof of your qualification. You're going to need proof that you obtained your qualification. The same will go for the capstone course. I see that there was a question that if you do your capstone course while you're still studying, and unfortunately the answer is no. And I'm going to explain why. The capstone course are based on the premise that you have got the knowledge down pat. You know how a state duty calculation works. You know how a tax calculation works and all of those things. So in order for you to be able to apply the knowledge, you first have to show us that you've got the knowledge. So your qualification will be a prerequisite, or if you don't have the qualification at standard setting level, the multiple choice will be your prerequisite to enroll for the Capstone course. If we go back to the exams, 4 dates, there's 3 dates on there. The other ones are, and I've got my list in front of me here. So it is 1 in September this year still, 1 in Feb next year, 1 in April, 1 in July, and 1 in October next year. The first 3 are already open for registration. Cost will be, the current cost for the examination is 3,695 Rand. Now, one of the questions we are getting asked is this capstone course together with the financial plan component, is that going to be a barrier to entry because it's already expensive to sit for this exam, especially if you have to sit more than once? FPI is going to attempt from our side to keep the cost for the capstone course together with the financial plan assessment as close as possible to what the current cost for the CFP exam is. Because one thing we do not want, and this is what I said about fairness, we want our candidates to be treated fairly. And just because we change the process shouldn't be that you are out of pocket with double the amount that you would have been. So we are going to attempt to keep the cost as close as possible, but those things will also be communicated closer to the end of next year. Once you've registered for this exam and paid for this exam, we give you access to all our examination support, which include a whole host of webinars, all old exam papers, suggested answers. We have got very good webinars from some of our CFP professionals. We have at least 3 live sessions of an hour to an hour and a half each before every exam to answer your questions, to look at things that you might want to discuss. So there is really a lot of examination support available on our support portal, which you gain access to the moment you have paid for that exam. So to conclude, you're going to have people who are coming through or who have obtained the qualification before 2023, or who are going to obtain the qualification during 2023, which is most of the cohort we've got online now. You are going to have to make a choice. Your first choice is to attempt this examination and pass this examination, which is not impossible if you put the time and the effort into it, before the end of 2024. As I said, we'll have 4 sittings. It'll be a 100-mark case study in the form of 2 papers written over 2 days. Once you've passed that examination, it is valid for 5 years. So even if you don't meet the experience requirement at the end of next year, your examination is valid and that box is ticked. In 3 years' time, when you've met the experience requirement, or in a year after you've completed the mentorship program, or whatever your journey looks like, that exam will be in place and you will have that tick behind the E of examination. You will then also have to meet the experience and the ethics requirements. That is not changing. Your other option is to wait until 2025, or if you do not pass the PCE in its current format. So what you will have to do is you will have to pass that 50-mark multiple choice examination so we can confirm your knowledge component is in place. You will complete the capstone course and you will submit a financial plan as your examination requirement. You will then also have to meet your experience requirement and your ethics requirement. So that is your 2 options. I do not want to tell anybody what to do. I think it is all a choice. I think some people, everybody's journey looks a little bit different, where you find yourself, what you can accommodate at that point in time. If it was my choice, I would have gone with option 1 and I would have attempted the exam. And I'm going to tell you why. I am of the opinion that we've got a lot of support available. You can see that in the pass rate that has been steadily increasing over the last 3 years. There's a lot of information available. So all the old exam papers are there, the webinars are there. You've got a wealth of information available that makes it easier for you to pass this examination if you put the time and the effort into it. We are developing the financial plan component, and I think it's going to be brilliant. I think it is going to be practically one of the best things that FPI can do, because instead of just assessing the knowledge component in the same manner again, we are actually going to test skills, abilities, knowledge, and the outcome that we expect of a financial planner. However, unfortunately, because we did not test your knowledge component at university level by moderating that paper, we are going to have to ask you to pass the multiple choice. And I see someone has asked, the pass rate for the multiple choice exam will be 60% as well. So we will set it at the same level that our current PCE. And also that the international requirement is set at, and they set it at a 60%. If you run your own examination, which is what this will be. And I can tell you that the financial plan pass rate will also probably be 60%, because that is the international level that it is set at. So that is an absolute mouthful. And I see that our CEO has joined us. Let me see. I see Lelani has just joined us. So Lelani, can we have you open your mic there, Fatima? Let's just introduce our CEO. Let's just see if we can enable a mic and a camera quickly.
I am trying to. Thank you, Nici. Let's see if I can.
I think I've just allowed her.
Yeah.
I've got a voice and I've got a face. Hello.
There we go. Hi, Lelani.
Good afternoon, everybody. So sorry for joining a bit late. I was tied up in another governance meeting. But welcome, Nici. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm not sure where in the presentation you are. So I'll fall in line. And are you done?
I am done. I've just finished, Lelani. Your entrance was like pitch perfect. I have just finished, and I'm just going to answer a few questions, but I don't know if you want to maybe say something about how we're seeing the changes and how excited we are about all of this.
Absolutely. So a very warm welcome to everybody online, and thank you so much for joining the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa, and short the FPI. And thank you so much for studying in your career towards becoming a financial planner in South Africa. If you look at our vision is professional financial planning and advice for all. And if we look at where we are in the macroeconomics, the unemployment rate, and all the issues that we are battling with in South Africa, and the two-part system coming in, and National Health Insurance Fund, and I can go on forever, and then Suma quickly give you a regulatory update. The bottom line is South Africa needs financial planners. So thank you very much for choosing a very rewarding and long career. With that, Nici, I'm not going to repeat what you've said about how the exam is going to change. I'm rather going to hone in on why the examination is changing. So from a South African point of view, FPI is one of the top 7 affiliates of the Financial Planning Institute around the world. So globally, South Africa, in the form of me, I'm chairing the Chief Executive Committee of the top 7 affiliates globally. But I'm also chairing the all Chief Executive Committee with all 27 of the CEOs of all the FPIs around the world. So some of the conversations that we've had is how the world has changed after the COVID environment. And COVID has been an enabler for technology, ChatGPT coming in, psychology and financial planning, mentoring, coaching, etc., etc. And that meant that the curriculum in financial planning has changed quite a bit. But if we then look at how you become a certified financial planner, Nici, I'm sure, has taken you through what we call the 4 E's. There's actually 5 E's. The 5th E only comes into place once you are a member of the FPI, and that E is enforcement. So the moment that you are a member of the FPI, that is when you then fall under the disciplinary code and the code of ethics, and you then fall under the enforcement section as a member of the FPI. So why did it change? Well, if we look at the 4 E's, we have realized, and if I say we, I'm talking with the global hat on at the moment, and the chairperson of the global committee, is that we have realized that if we look at the assessment part, that the assessment in its current form isn't necessarily strong enough to test whether somebody understands how to put a financial plan together. So by the time in the current form that you've passed all 4 E's, it doesn't mean that you actually know how to put a plan together. So going forward, we will allow you to either use the financial planning technology that FPI will have at that point in time, or you will be allowed to use financial planning technology that was approved by FPI for you to use as you submit your assessment after the Capstone course. It's really to make you more work ready. That is the bottom line. It is to make you more employable. So the moment that you are finished and you start at a financial institution, for instance, that you don't say to somebody, yeah, I know I'm a CFP, I actually wrote the exam, but I've never done a financial plan. At least coming through the Capstone course, you will then have the opportunity to actually put a plan together. And then we are still going to test what we call the minimum standard. And the way that we test the minimum standard is by making sure that we moderate the examination across all the universities who we've approved their curriculum to actually, and I think this is where the confusion comes in, Nici. I think a lot of people think that there are FPI is because of the universities. It's actually a partnership, and I think that's important. So the curriculum that you are studying today is the curriculum that FPI has put together, and it matches the global standard. And the university that you are studying at, if that curriculum of the qualification that you are studying doesn't match 100% the published FPI curriculum, the university that you're studying at cannot be recognized as an educational provider of the FPI, because we make use of the universities to deliver the program on our behalf. And I think that's very important to understand. We enable and approve and recognize the universities to deliver the education component on FPI's behalf. And that is why you cannot obtain the CFP designation if you didn't go through all 4 E's. So Nici, in a nutshell, the reason why it is changing is to make sure that you are more able to actually, when you come through as a certified financial planner, to deliver a holistic financial plan. So it's really to help you upskill. And it's also for the international community to make sure that we have tested the right competencies, skills, and abilities. And Nici, I'm sure you have mentioned that this is not just happening in South Africa, it is happening globally. We all, the affiliates of the Financial Planning Standards Board, needs to make sure that the financial plan component becomes a little bit stronger. So in a nutshell, again, congratulations on choosing a very rewarding career. Plus, you get the opportunity to work with people. I love working with people. So, thank you, Nici. Back to you in the studio in Johannesburg.
Yes. Thank you from the studio in Pretoria, Lelani. So I just want to answer 1 or 2 quick questions. I know we're out of time, but I'm going to try and address this quite quickly. And an interesting question came through. Prashna said the new format speaks directly to advisors, brokers, planners. How will these changes impact those in the industry that are not planners with regard to the practical application and the assessment of the course? If you go read the competency profile of a financial planner, Prashna, and I know there's a lot of people that are certified financial planners that don't actually practice giving advice, that are not necessarily registered with the FSCA at this moment in time. I myself is one of those. I used to practice, but when I started at FPI, I don't practice anymore. However, the framework is based on being a financial planner who gives advice. So yes, it is absolutely based on financial planners because it is the financial planning curriculum. However, that doesn't mean that if you've obtained those knowledge, skills, and abilities that you can't go work somewhere else. We have got quite a few career changes that come into our certified financial planning area. I'm just thinking of someone who manages certified financial planners. They need to have the ability to do it themselves in order to be able to spot if something is not correct. I'm thinking compliance officers. If they don't intricately understand the advice giving process and the planning process and the value of holistic financial advice, they will not be able to do a proper job of ensuring, and not just ticking boxes, of ensuring that you're meeting the requirements that you need as a certified financial planner. So even if you don't work in the industry directly giving advice to clients, it is still important that you understand those aspects of it. So yes, that unfortunately, even the current format is based on giving advice. The PC in its current format, that case study is based on you recommending something to a client. So that is the nature of the beast. So there are a few other questions. I am going to ask the following, and we will respond to everybody here that asked a question individually after the meeting if we didn't get to your question. One of the ways that you can keep up to date with what FPI, what is happening at FPI, what are we looking at, how is this changing, when is the next exam dates, what opportunities are available for me, is to register as a student or a candidate member of FPI. A student member is someone who is currently studying full-time. A candidate member is someone that has either got experience or you've done a qualification before, so it's someone who's already on the pathway. I am going to ask everybody to please go to www.fpi.co.za. You will see that there is a block that says become a member. Please ensure that you've got your information at hand, your ID copy, maybe copies of your qualifications and your experience if you've got. Go through the process to apply for membership. Both candidate and student membership is absolutely free. And what we're going to do is we're going to load you onto a community where we will keep in touch with you and make sure that you are updated on everything that is happening at FPI at this moment in time. So please go and register. We will tell our membership people that we have asked this of you and make sure that they're on the ball to approve you as you come through. And that can mean that FPI can stay in touch with you. And we can send you information on all the changes. And not just that, we have got bursary opportunities. I read somewhere yesterday again. There's opportunities available from some of our professional practices. There are court cases and regulations that are updated that you need to know about. So there is quite a bit of information we can share with you. And that's not even talking about the skills webinars that we're going to do, the regulatory webinars that we're going to do for students and candidates. So please join FPI as a candidate or student member. It's beneficial to everybody around the table.
Nici, just important to mention, thank you so much, Tankiso. I don't have my glasses on, Tankiso. Thank you so much for your question. It's for free. That's the beauty. Student membership is for free. And I said to Nici, you know what, for me, it's the fear of missing out, FOMO. If you're not in the student community, there's a lot of the information that we share there for you that actually helps you with your studies. And Nici, just something reflecting on the comments, and I hope you don't mind that I quickly jump in. Doesn't matter which route you come, either the one is not better than the other one or whatever. If you want to come the Capstone course, that's fine. And I don't want people to think that, oh, this is a barrier to entry now. No, we're still testing the same learning outcomes, but it helps you from a practical point of view to maybe understand financial planning a bit better. So there was always the perception that we're writing the two exams. We write one of the exam, then we write the same exam at the FPI again. That was a perception. So you're just writing the exam now, and all you do when you come to the FPI, there's not another exam besides if you do the multiple choice question that Nici already covered, but you do the Capstone course that has been globally developed, and you hand in a financial plan. There is not another exam, except, again, I have to repeat, if you have to do the multiple choice because of the overlapping.
Yes, that is basically the transition timelines that's going to catch some people, but mostly from 2024 onwards. So I really want everybody. I see Fatima has made the mistake of putting her email. So everybody, please mail Fatima at fpi.co.za if you can't come right. So Fatima, you are going to get lots of emails, but it's fine. Fatima is very helpful, so she can give attention
I
immediately.
would want them all to contact us so that we can clarify whatever we need to with them. So happy to email me at this point. I'll change it. I'll change it 2 weeks from now.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Yes, Fatima is a teacher by nature, so the candidates will be very happy to speak to her. I see Tabani has his hand up. I'm going to allow your microphone. Okay, Tabani, you can unmute yourself. I think you'll be able to chat to us.
Okay, good day, ma'am. I hope you're well. Yeah, I would love to thank such a great event because I think we once had a workshop at UJ here for financial planning, and that's when I got the interest. So I kind of like have just a quick questions, but ma'am Fatima has answered some, but I'm really a bit not like confused a bit. So I wanted to know on the journey because it seems like I've gained some interest to being a CFP, like getting to see like some people like Mr. Kovas. There's a guy who came to our campus the other time. So he really quite gave us some good run. So I wanted to know because I want to do my honors first and then definitely I want to become certified. So like how does it happen if you do the honors afterwards? Because I'm seeing like there are some board of exams now that like have to come up there. So after you do honors, does it sort of like reduce the time, or you are still going to go through all of them in such a way like someone who just finished their undergrad?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the first comment that is important is in order to qualify to become a certified financial planner is that you have to have your honors if you're studying at the University of Johannesburg. However, there are other designations, and I mean, we're just focusing on the CFP at this point in time. There are other designations that are set at the NQF level 5 and set at the NQF level 7. So once you've completed your BCom, your undergraduate degree, you might qualify, and you are welcome to go look at our website. It's quite clearly set out there. On the basis of the NQF level 7, you might qualify for one of our other designations depending on your experience. So that is the first thing. If you want to come through the journey and become a certified financial planner, you will have to complete your honors degree first. So enroll for the degree, complete the degree first. As it sounds to me, you would only do that 2024 onwards because you're still busy with your undergrad. At that time, we will already be doing the standard setting at UJ. So if you complete your honors, for example, next year in 2024, the examination or the standard setting will be done at the university, which means you will come straight through to the Capstone course once you've completed your qualification, and then to the financial plan component. But it is very important in order to gain the CFP that you complete your honors degree first. Now, obviously, the honors degree can be completed. I think at UJ it is a full-time degree, but there's other universities where it can be completed part-time, but that is up to you on what route you follow. Once again, I think one thing we can say about our industry is there's so many different pathways into these designations because some start studying, others come through at the very end. I mean, some people who are writing the CFP examinations at this point are already in their 70s and have come through from other careers. So it's actually really interesting to see how many people and where people come from in order to obtain these designations. So I think it's important, Tabani, maybe to become a student member of FPI so we can and get in touch with Fatima so we can help you on this journey and explain to you, what your options are, what to look at, what choices to make, those type of things. That is absolutely what we are available for. So please get in contact with us and let's see how we can assist.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think I'll just do that right away because I really can't wait to make sure that I try to get inside the journey there. And also just one more thing. We always find a challenge, especially with financial planning students, like in some other faculties I've seen, their graduate programs, they're always advertised and they always get an opportunity to get them very quick. But with us, like I've realized that we struggle a little bit. Like I see there's a person also here who wrote a question about mentorship programs. So me, I've always found it challenging, especially on the graduate programs for financial planning, because I know that it's a lucrative um career path, because we have had so many workshops and it's really an exciting one, especially if you've got passion for it. And as of current right now, I think I'm not changing my mind because I've already applied for the honors in it. So the only challenge that I also found was that like we failed to find a little bit of those graduate programs, or I don't know, maybe it's because we're going off time. I don't know, maybe it's gonna get better. But yeah, that's also one of my challenges that I've also had. But I know for sure that it is actually a lucrative career path.
Yes, it can be a lucrative career path. And on the mentorship programs, once again, I think it's valuable maybe to join the FPI's community. We will be sharing everything that we hear about on the student platforms in terms of opportunities and bursaries that are available. There are a few places that offer graduate programs. Some of our professional practices offer programs where you can apply. And I know for a fact that most of these companies are always looking for young people who want to come into the industry. So get closer to FPI. We're really going to beef up our communication in the next while about opportunities that are available. So let's have a look how we can help you.
Okay, I'll definitely do that, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tabani. Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially 11 minutes over our time. I'm going to say thank you so much to everyone. We have got all your questions, so those we did not get to, we'll reach out to you individually. We've got you registered, so we've got your information and your email addresses. We'll just make sure that we will chat to you. And if there's any questions, please email fatima@fpi.co.za. Glengiwe Kumalo is also on the line. She is assisting Fatima with everything that is FPI, and we call it the pipeline. So all students, all candidates, everybody that needs some guidance in order to become a designated member of FPI, we are really here to help. So please email them or email certification@FPI or phone us. Let's see how we can make this journey as easy as possible for you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may you have a wonderful evening further.